Hi everyone, this is a little video to show you about your final project. You can see that I have my final project for summer 2015, which is a sample for you. I've put in pictures from my trip to Greenland that I can share. And I've done a couple things. I have too many pictures, so I'm going to have to delete two, and that's called editing. Also, one of the things I'm going to be looking for is when I open a picture, I'm going to look to see that it was taken between June 29th and the final date of the quarter. I'm going to look that in the description right here, you have written why you chose it for this. So in this case, I could look at this and I could say that I chose it because it's an example of the use of a telephoto lens. Okay, so that would be one thing. And pictures can have many reasons. You just need to choose one of the reasons. That's something we learned in this class. So this is a use of a telephoto lens, and we can see that if we come here because it's 130 millimeter, and that's why it feels a little flattened. I could also either also say, or instead I could have said rule of thirds. So if we look at this picture here, the ship is right on the PowerPoint of the rule of thirds. Okay, and so then I would be done, and you're gonna have to go through every single picture and do this. So I'll again be looking at the date, be looking for the reason why it's in the group. I do have a tag called Final Project. That's not a bad idea, and you can add it to our Photo 5 group if you want, although it's not absolutely required. You will have to share this link with us in the discussion. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So as I go through, what could I say about this one? I could talk about example of foreground, middle ground, background. It could be something inspired by Sebastian Salgado, so some of his very famous pictures are of the icebergs. It could be a landscape, and I could talk about Ansel Adams here. So what you talk about is up to you, but you want to look at the picture and think about how it was inspired. This could be rule of thirds, this could be diagonal lines. This one could be reflections, and could be about exposure. See, this one I used 1/1000th of a second to freeze the bird. And this one I could talk definitely about wide angle lenses. This is done with a 24 millimeter lens, and about foreground, middle ground, background. Here I could talk about reflections. I could talk about color. I could talk about the textures. Here's repeating shapes, color, maybe rule of thirds if you really want to use it. Here I could talk about photographing the moment, capturing his tongue out, also getting down on his level. We talked at different points in portraiture and in images about being on the level of especially of animals and children. Here we have a person for scale, as well as maybe a wide-angle lens. Here we could talk about leading lines and about using foreground, middle ground, background for space. Here we have a close-up, minimum depth of field. Here's another rule of thirds and getting the action. You could talk about Martin O'Grady. You could talk about Gordon Parks. I could talk about how I spent time with this person, like not as much time as Gordon Parks would have, but I spent time with him and asked him about what he was doing in order to be able to take this photograph of him. And I took a number of photographs to get this one with this composition. Narrow depth of field, rule of thirds. Movement, the importance of both the movement and the stillness of the craftsman, using a window light coming from the side. Here's another one using the light in the room and trying to find the moment, composing so that he's not just in the center of the frame. Here I did a close-up, and this is in the story, so we had to talk about sequencing those two craftsmen. This was from the store, something that they might have made. Here's window light, narrow depth of field, connection with the subject. narrow depth of field, close up. So as you go through, you want to look and try to figure out what it is. Why did you include this? And what about did you learn in Photo 5 that would be related to this? We have edge tension. We have compression. We do have a telephoto lens. All these things you can talk about. Technical or whatever. Scale, movement, freezing movement with the shutter speed. Rule of thirds. And so as you go through, and I'm not going to write under each of these what they are, but you will for your final project. And you're going to think about things like depth of field, what lens you used, what point of view, what photographer of our photographers inspired you to take this picture. Foreground, middle ground, background, composition, whatever it is that you like. Color contrast, wide angle lens, the moment, thinking about photographing people. So all those things are going to be part of your project. And when you want to give me the link, now all of these pictures are public. So when I grab a link here, it's just going to give me the link. I'm going to grab the link, and this is the link that you'll post both in the discussion and in the assignments, tests, and surveys. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to choose one picture just randomly. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to change the permissions on this from public to private. Okay, so this one picture is now private. When I go back to the album and I go to grab the link to share it, all of a sudden you'll notice it's different. Oh, it should be different. Let me try again. This picture, which I took, is private. Let's go back to my photo stream. And go to my albums. Final project. When I share the album, I should have a choice to share this or to share differently because of the privacy. Let me make it go to another album. This picture should have some. So when I go to share this album, now, because I did it while you were watching, it didn't work, but here it works. So here now I have a choice of which of my pictures to share, because some of the pictures are private, some of them are public. So I can choose, and you want to, for me, I need to see all public and private pictures, all the pictures in your album, if you chose to have some private. If you didn't, you would have these other options. So you just have to make sure that you give me all the pictures so that I can see what you've done. So you copy this link, either with a Command-C as it says, in this case Control-C on the PC, or coming up here to the menu and doing copy. So done. Go back to my albums. Go back to my final project. I'm going to come here. I'm going to grab this link, and then I'm going to go to Etudes. And I'll be posting this in discussion. Right here, final projects, and also in assignments, tests, and surveys. It won't look like this to you. I'm going to make it look like it would look like to you, sorry. Under final project submission. And you're going to post the link here. And then you're going to do a reflection of 300 words about your final project. And this could be talking about what you learned from the final project, talking about why you did, what images you did. Could be talking about your sequencing, anything that you want to write about your final project and about what you learned from it. Okay, hope that's helpful. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing all of your images.